It was late December, almost 10 years ago now. My parents had gone on a holiday to Japan for 2 weeks, leaving 17-year-old me alone at home for Christmas. I didn't mind because I was always a bit of a recluse, I suppose. I'm not the type to go out, I'd just stay at home watching TV. But one thing I was concerned about was the neighborhood carolers who made their rounds on Christmas Eve. I've always found it awkward to just stand there while they're singing and pretend to be merry. Plus, this time I'd be alone. Yeah, no thank you. So that night, December 24th, I turned off all the lights in the house except for the porch light. That way, anyone passing by would think that no one was home. The carolers usually made their rounds at 8 p.m., so I was about 2 hours ahead. I wrapped myself in a blanket on the couch and started to watch The Holiday, my favorite Christmas movie. At around 7 p.m., the doorbell rang. I sighed. Here we go. It rang a couple more times, so I peeked through the curtains, but whoever it was must have left. There was no one on the porch, and the street was empty. They must be checking to see if anyone's home. Great, I thought. Now they know this house is empty. At 8 p.m., my movie was finished, and I began to absent-mindedly scroll through Instagram. The doorbell rang again. I rolled my eyes and went to the front door. I peeked outside, and there they were, just beyond the porch light. About 5 or 6 people, men and women dressed in the jolliest outfits you could imagine, ready to sing someone's ears off. Without fail, the one in the center was holding out the donation box, which was the entire point of this Christmas carol. "No one's home, you're not getting any money here," I whispered, phantomly shooing them away with all my might. They rang the bell a couple more times, then finally left without singing a tune. I was overjoyed. Now I could begin to enjoy my night. I was in the middle of another movie when I heard the sound of muffled carols faintly coming from down the street. Soon the song moved closer. I thought they would skip past my house, but they didn't. They sang 2 short songs, but then, thankfully, moved on. I thought this had got to be the end of it. Oh, how wrong I was. At about 11 p.m., I heard them again on the porch. I thought I must have misheard, because who goes around caroling in the middle of the night? But there they were, complete with their donation box, on the lawn of my house, taking their positions and began to sing Jingle Bells, loudly. I backed away from the window. "This is ridiculous," I muttered. "I'm not coming out." I only noticed something was wrong when they began to sing their second song, "O Holy Night." It sounded closer, I thought, and louder. I quickly went to the window and I saw that they were now standing right outside the door. They weren't on the lawn anymore. At first, I thought they were just working extra hard to get that donation money, but my gut said that wasn't it. Maybe it was just the way they sang, or maybe it was the fact that the leader of the group, Mrs. Williams, seemed to be staring directly at my window, the one I was peeking out of. Her eyes wide and unblinking, as if she knew I was watching. Instinctively, I slipped my phone out of my pocket. I wasn't sure what I was going to do. Call my parents? A friend? All I knew was they were being weird and I just didn't want to be alone. But perhaps I was overreacting. When the singing finally stopped, I breathed a sigh of relief. The group seemed to wander off, their voices fading into the night. I sank back into the couch. But the next moment, before I knew it, I heard voices from the front porch again. It was them. They were standing around the window, their faces only inches from the glass. Their mouths were strained wide into an unsettling smile, their breath fogging up the glass. I stumbled back and desperately looked for a phone. Any phone. I saw the wireless on the desk, grabbed it, and dialed 911, but it was silent. Did they cut the phone line? Suddenly, the carolers began to sing something that sounded like Silent Night, but slowly, hauntingly, mockingly, while tapping on the glass. I couldn't breathe or think. I frantically searched for my phone and found it somewhere on the couch, in the folds of the blanket. My hands were trembling as I dialed 911 again, hoping it would go through this time. The singing abruptly stopped. I looked back, and through the gaps in the curtain, I could see pairs of eyes looking inside. They banged the windows, screeching, "Excuse me, is anyone home? Hello?" over and over. Before I could move, I heard the creak of the door handle. The front door. It was turning. I wasn't sure what happened next, but the police was there. My knees buckled and one of the officers was holding me upright. I was shaking head to toe, crying with snot all over. I remember they said the phone line was cut, or more like gnawed off, but there was no one in the vicinity. Most of my neighbors were on holiday too, so their houses were empty and no one heard a thing. I went to stay with my grandma after that because I couldn't spend another night in that house alone, and only went back there once my parents were home from their holiday. Later, I heard the Christmas carolers didn't even go to my street because they knew most people were away. When I insisted that I was sure at least Mrs. Williams was there, everyone looked at me weirdly. Some were offended, some confused, and some pitied me, like they thought I was insane. I never spent Christmas alone from that day on. I still shudder when I hear Christmas songs. Sometimes I swear I can hear the carolers' voices in my ears.
Silent night, holy night.